It's so great to have you here, and thank you for joining us. You are CEO and chairman of the board of one of the major financial services companies in the country. You have what, about 3,000 agents that work for you?
That's
And,
correct.
and I'll talk more about that, but I thought it would be interesting. Is there, and you know what development directors do, and you know what it takes to be a great development director, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute. Is there any comparison at all between an effective, successful agent and a development director?
Yeah, absolutely. I think if I looked for a commonality, it would be both face rejection daily
Oh, and to be able to handle it.
and keep coming after them.
Yeah, yeah. You've worked with a lot of development directors.
Yes,
You were chairman of the board of Adelphi University.
correct.
You became chairman, and Adelphi had a pretty bad situation that had national publicity. It was with the president.
Correct.
And what happened there?
They brought in a president from the outside, like they usually do, most presidential searches. And this particular president kind of cherry-picked his board. His compensation was clearly out of line with other presidents from peer institutions. And basically started to run the school into the ground.
Really?
Yes.
What was it like becoming chair of a board that had gone through this?
Well, I was fortunate in that when I joined the board, the current chairman at that time had been appointed by the New York State Board of Regents, which overlooks public schools in New York as well as colleges and universities. So the school was starting to improve, things were getting better, and either trustees or the current chairman were on their way out, and now it was being handed over to a different group of trustees, and the first chairman after the state-appointed chairman was a fellow alum.
Oh, is that right?
Yes, and I succeeded him, so it was relatively shortly after the turn had begun.
Yeah. What does it take? I'll ask you about development people in a minute. What does it take to be a great president?
University, I hope. we're
Yes.
talking
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I think and I've known a few from different institutions. I think the first thing is that they have to be good listeners. They have to understand, what everybody is saying, all the constituencies. So whether it's alumni, whether it's faculty, whether it's administrators, and obviously donors. I think the best presidents are good listeners, and they process the information and are able to do something with it that satisfies those constituencies. But listening is probably the best characteristic, I would think.
Really? And do you feel that the same about your agents?
Yeah, I think communication is important, whether you call it communication. I talk a lot about collaboration. I like it when people are open and collaborate as to how are they going to solve a problem or how are they going to deal with an issue. So with agents, they're always faced with competition from another insurance company. So they have to be thinking about what's the best way to win this deal.
Yeah. Now, what do you look for in a development director?
One that's not in my face every week of the year. Yeah, I think the effective ones are the ones that know how to keep distance. And I think the other thing is that they are prepared. That whenever they come to see me, they got something to say that's not just, how are things going? What do you think of the baseball game? I got something to talk to you about that might be interesting to you.
Yeah. When you say, because we've been talking about being in contact with your donors and probable donors on a regular basis, when you say keep their distance, what are you talking about?
I think the worst thing a development director can do is just keep hounding somebody for the sake of hounding.
Oh, okay.
If they have a purpose, you know what I say in our business, if we're going out to see prospective customer or talk to agents, we have an agenda.
Yeah.
And the agenda also should be meaningful, and it should be something that will provoke a discussion or get a discussion going. So not just, look, we got a big capital campaign and you're a fat cat and you should give some money.
Yeah,
or,
yeah.
Or you went to school here, that kind of thing.
Yeah. How did you happen to join the board of Adelphi? You were a student there.
I was.
Good experience?
Yeah, great. I loved my college years. I loved them so much I stayed 5. Yeah, I was approached by the current president. It's probably 9 years ago or so. And he said, well, I want to tell you what's going on at Adelphi. So we had breakfast. And
Did you have any reluctance about meeting with them?
no, I meet with anybody. I'm in the insurance business. I'm trying to sell something. So no problem with that. And I knew the school was coming back a little bit. So I met with him, like I said, Jerry, and then a couple months went by. He called me up. He said, would you like to get together again? I said, sure, and started talking. And
Did you think at all he might be asking for a gift? Did that occur to you?
no, I thought he was asking for money,
That's
not a
what-
gift.
oh, money, not a gift.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah. You know, I suspected that, and you know, I was prepared. I can say no. I'm pretty good at saying no. It takes great skill to say no. Anybody can say yes. If you didn't know that, that's a valuable piece of advice. So we talked probably 3 times, and then he asked if I would consider joining the board, and I said, okay.
And had you been giving? Had you been
No.
giving? You hadn't been giving anything.
Nothing.
Nothing. Why? You must have been. Were you asked to give? Did you get mailed? Did
Oh, yeah, I got mail.
you had a good?
No personal contact.
No personal contact. But you were the head of a large corporation at the time, and they didn't know where you were, or they didn't bother.
I think probably because the school had this troubled period or troubled time that advancement was not one of the things they were worried about. They were worried about a lot of other things, and they had never had a capital campaign.
Never.
Never. And they had a very low giving rate as measured by U.S. News and World Report. So I think they were starting to build that under the new president. And but he was the one that called me directly.
Yeah. When he asked you to serve on the board, did he say, Tom, you'd be expected to make a gift?
No, did not say anything.
He didn't.
No.
So you got on the board.
And then he asked.
Who asked you for a gift? Did he or another board member?
The president.
Is that the right person to ask?
I don't think so, at least not initially. But he asked, and
How did he handle it?
the short answer would have been, he said, well, you know, you're on the board, and we'd like the board to, you know, support the university, whether it's annual fund or in some other way, and give your time on behalf of the university, that type of thing. So I said, okay, and
Was it a good ask?
yeah, I think it was fine.
Yeah. And you said,
I said, I'll give you $50,000, and I'll see how you do. I'll evaluate your performance.
how was his reaction? Because he may be expecting a little less, actually.
He was very happy with it, and I said, we'll see how you do. And if you do good or do well, and I like what you're proposing for the school, maybe I'll give you more.
And did you?
I did.
Do you give annually to the school?
Yeah, I give $25,000 a year, every year, and I gave $1 million to the capital campaign.
$1 million. Who who asked you for that gift?
The director of advancement.
Really? Was that the right person to ask you?
Yeah, I thought he was the right person.
Not the president, not a board member.
No.
Tell me what it takes to, what do you like to see in a head of advancement?
Tell me a story I want to hear. Do I believe in what you're asking me to do?
Yeah.
And I look at it as an investment. You know, if I was putting money in a stock, I'd want to know from my stockbroker, asset manager, tell me why this stock I should put money in.
Yeah.
And really, I said to this individual, tell me why I should do this. What's the point? You
And
know?
and tell me, what was the response to that? That's a great question.
Well, he said we had many needs. That might be surprising to you. One was scholarships, one was faculty endowments, chairs. Another one was buildings, et cetera, et cetera. And he said there's a lot of flexibility. Choose your investments, so to speak. And that appealed to me.
Yeah. Yeah. How often are you contacted now by this person?
Oh, we probably, other than board meetings, which are 4 times a year, I see him there. Probably another few times
Yeah.
during the year. He'll make contact, just how's it going, that kind of stuff.
But you said you want somebody calling on you that has, in a sense, an agenda.
Well, when he calls, he usually has something to say, you know, like we have a matching gift program, or we want to do this, we want to do that, what do you think? He asks my opinion before he asks for money.
Yeah.
So
You were chair of the board.
I was.
What do you look for in a board member?
Somebody that comes to all the meetings.
Attendance, okay.
Yeah, and is positive relative to the future of the university, long-term thinker.
Yeah, yeah. Not somebody who's always saying, I don't want to be a devil's advocate, and then you know something's happened.
Well, quite honestly, I sit on a lot of boards. There are a lot of boards where people want to be heard,
Yeah,
and they really don't have anything to contribute. They just want to mouth off.
yeah. What else do you look for in a board member? Do you look for them to make a gift?
Yes,
What kind of a gift? Do you have a minimum at Adelphi?
we have no minimum.
Yeah. And what do you think most board members, when you get, have you been asking people to serve on the board?
No, I have not done that. We have a trustee affairs committee that kind of prospects for people, and that kind of gets vetted through an executive committee and then eventually the full board.
Yeah. Do most board members, you give $25,000 a year? Is that a good gift for a board member, or do some give less, some give more?
Some give less. I would say probably the majority gives less. We have a board, it's about 26 people. I think if you look at that, 7 or 8 have given $1 million or more to the capital campaign. Small capital campaign, 65 million, I guess it was. But 7 gave multi-million-dollar gifts. 25,000 and above on an annual basis. Of the 26, I think it's probably a quarter of that, 25%.
But 100% giving?
No, there are some that don't give anything.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Either they have some kind of financial issue, but they're good people to have on the board because of their knowledge and expertise, et cetera. So we do have some that have given nothing.
Really?
They usually don't last the full term, you know. We give them enough time to give. If they don't give in the first 5, 6 years, they're probably going to be asked to leave.
Yeah. How did you decide to give $1 million?
It was a round number.
Was that the largest gift up to that time that you gave?
Yes.
How did you decide on $1 million? Could have been 500,000. It could have been 2 million.
I've worked for 2 companies. I get stock, and when the stock hit 50, then it's easy. Do the math, right, to get to $1 million. 50 times 2,000, I think that's what the number is, or 20,000. It kind of works, so that's how I do it.
Sure.
I give stock.
If they'd have asked you for more, if they, Tom?
They have,
Oh, have they?
and I told them no.
Oh, really?
And the reason is we have a new president coming in, and he's going to be asking. So I'd rather have two presidents happy rather than one.
Were you on the selection committee for the new president?
We're in the process of determining that. I'm on the search committee to hire the consultant or headhunter.
Oh, you're still.
Yeah.
Oh, you're.
I
at
did that.
stage.
Now we're.
Yeah.
I'll find out next week. I'll send you an email. So,
Do you and Chris talk about your philanthropy?
yes. This weekend we must have spent an hour or two talking about it.
Really? About any specific organization?
One is a cultural institution that my wife has some interest in it. The other one is a medical institution.
In South Carolina?
Both of those are in South Carolina where we have a second home.
Yeah. What are you going to do?
I'm going back to work. Is that what you're talking about? No. What am I going to do? We'll make a gift to both.
What kind of a gift will you make?
The cultural institution probably will be 6 figures, and the medical probably 7 figures.
Really? That's very special. Why 7 figures at the medical center? It's your second home.
If I have a heart attack, I have the number on my iPhone. I come from a medical family. My father's a surgeon. He's 86. He practices every day. He's not cutting people anymore. He's kind of putting them back together. And my aunt was a radiologist. My grandfather was a surgeon. My great-grandfather was a surgeon.
Wow.
And my wife is a nurse and has her master's and was an
Yeah.
administrator. So we've kind of said primary giving will be academic institutions or medically related. That's really what interests us the most.
Is your wife on the board of the arts?
No.
Who has contacted her for a gift?
It was originally the director of the museum, and then after that it was the advancement person has been really the one.
And who at the hospital or medical center?
A fellow that I used to work with is on their board, and turns out he moved to South Carolina, and he found me and called me up and said, would you like to serve on the board? And
What'd you say?
I said, well, I was respectful. He was my boss once upon a time. So I said, well, I'll go on the tour, tell me all about it. So we did that. We went on the tour, and they do good work. And I've since told them I don't want to be on the board, but I'll be happy to consider a gift. So we're in the process of working through that.
Are you easy?
No.
How often do you say no?
A lot.
A lot? Is it hard to get a visit with you?
No. I'll talk to anybody.
You will. But it's usually no.
That's okay. You never know. You might find a good one. Right?
You had a major corporation, but you will make time to see people?
Sure.
And do you ever let them know how they did
Well,
on the presentation?
Yeah, I tell them when I'm done. You know, I don't buy what you're selling.
Yeah.
They deserve an answer. They spent the time.
Yeah. What's the role of material, brochures, folders?
I'm a dinosaur, so I like paper.
Do you?
Yeah, I work pretty long hours. I'm not going to sit there and go through a few-page email or, other than a meeting. If there's something in writing, I can read it on Saturday or Sunday.
Yeah.
Or I can read it on a plane or whatever.
Yeah.
And to me, that's better if I'm talking to my wife about it, which I do. I can show it to her,
Yeah.
But
How many emails do you get a day?
This morning when I looked at my iPhone, there were 170, but some of these were carryover from last week because I was traveling a lot.
Yeah.
But a typical day, I probably get 40, 50, I don't know.
Yeah. Do they make an impact? Do you like to be asked to
No,
give?
because I'm worried about lawyers. So if somebody sends me something, I say, call me, see me. I usually don't write back.
Yeah.
Rare that I do unless it's an innocuous issue.
Now, you get letters.
Yes.
You get letters from organizations
Yep.
asking for money. What's it take to get a gift from you by mail?
0.
Zero. You just won't give? You see the envelope, you don't even open it.
Probably not.
Really?
Unless they're tricky and I don't know what it is, then I open it. I don't even open it.
Yeah. What's the role of tax? How,
What's-
how important is tax consideration?
For me personally,
Yeah.
as I keep working, it's becoming less of an issue, but I think early in one's career or during the height of your career, I think it's pretty important.
When did you start giving?
Well, we've always given to our church, so that's,
Is that a major,
well, last year was 6 figures,
was it?
but
Are you-
that's not every year.
Yeah. You're active in your church?
I go there on Sunday.
Yeah.
My wife is active.
Yeah. Are you a tither?
No.
Yeah. But you
Is
would,
that gross or net?
I'll take it either way.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. Would that be your major philanthropy now on an annual basis?
We support 2 colleges, Adelphi, where I went to, and
Lake Forest?
Wake Forest, where we had a daughter that attended. Those 2 on an annual basis are 25 each, other than capital campaigns. And then the church, we give a fair amount of money to the church. And what else? We have a lot of things that we give 1,000 to 2,500, which are more civic in nature.
How many are on your list? Do you have 15, 20,
Probably 20.
20? Do you and Chris go over that list?
Only at income tax time to make sure it's not in her checkbook versus my checkbook.
Yeah.
But yeah, we go over it. She knows exactly what we give. We keep a book, and we write them all in the book every year.
How do you take some off your list?
Yeah, sometimes, yes.
Why would you take someone off?
Well, we may have made a donation to a particular organization that we knew the person, we had a friendship with that person, and either they have left that organization, they're not supporting it, or, we did it for a few years, time to help somebody else out.
What's it take to get on your list?
Probably have to show up and talk to us.
Is that what it takes?
That's, if you have it, you're not going to have a chance by
By
regular
letter?
mail or email or phone call.
Yeah,
No chance at all.
yeah. Does Chris get called on by herself, or
Yep, she does.
does that work? And then she comes to you and says, "Tom."
No, she does what she wants.
Oh, does she? No, you said you talk about it.
We
Go-
talk about it, but she's not making the big gifts, right?
Yeah.
We collaborate on those too.
So your daughter went to Wake Forest, and as a freshman, did you start giving to Wake Forest?
Yes, immediately.
Immediately. How much did you give?
25,000 the first year.
Yeah. Is that kind of where do you consider that, a regular gift, or is that on the high side?
Well, we kind of look at that as there are different types of giving, right? So if it's a one-time capital campaign thing, that's different than something you want to support continuously. So
Yeah.
for us, we support Wake Forest, we support Adelphi, we support our church. Those are annual, and we don't change.
Do you still give to Wake Forest?
Yep,
Your daughter's gone.
yep,
How long are you going to keep giving?
forever.
Really?
They do a good job.
Yeah.
Look at Crouch back there. I think he's a graduate, so even wearing a tie, so it's good.
Yeah. So somebody asked you for a gift to their campaign.
Yes,
Who asked you?
development, one of the development people.
And you didn't feel it should have been the president? Not at all.
He's got something to do all day, right? He has other things to do. Development people should be developing, right?
Okay. And so tell me about the ask. What was that like?
Well, it was very generic. Quite honestly, I didn't think they did a good job, and I told them.
Oh, you did? What'd you say?
I said, you don't know what you're asking for here. You need more detail here. Tell me what's really going on. How are you approaching this? Why?
Really?
Yeah. How many $1 million gifts are you looking for? How many $5 million, $10 million? Are you getting it from alumni? Are you getting it from the car dealer down the street? Where are you getting the money?
Yeah.
Tell me this is going to be successful. I don't want to support something that's not going to be successful.
What was the response to that?
I'll be back to you.
And did he come back?
Came back.
Yeah.
It was better. It's not where it needs to be yet. So another round of torture and.
Did he ask for a specific amount?
Yes.
What did he say, Tom?
He said.
What were the words? Do you remember the words?
I don't remember the exact words, but something like, "We think this would be a nice gift."
Oh, really? That's
something like that.
Yeah. And what was your response?
I said that would be a nice gift.
And what did you end up giving?
Nothing yet. He has to come back again.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, but you have a figure in mind. You
Yeah.
wouldn't have him coming back if you didn't. If you didn't have
I have a figure in my mind, but he's got to work for it.
Yeah.
Tell me you're going to be successful with this.
Yeah.
If you're not successful, why do I want to do it?
Yeah. What's the figure you have in mind?
$1 million.
Yeah. So has he made a date yet?
He needs to make the date, not me.
Yeah.
He knows where to find me.
And he hasn't made a date yet?
Not yet.
How long has it been since he called on you last?
A couple months.
Don't you think that's a long time?
No.
You're
The capital campaign is going to go on for years, right? So you have a silent period, and then you go to when you're open, or I don't know what they call it, when it's public. But
Yeah.
they got quite a few years to go. So, he'll be back.
Tom, we coach our people that you can't leave a meeting without getting a gift or a new date because it's got to be urgent.
He gets a gift from me every year, $25,000. He knows I'm supportive.
So he figures he's got time to come back to you.
He knows I'm going to give. I'm waiting him out, and he's waiting me out. That's kind of how I look at it. We're having a little fun.
Yeah. Are there others that you're thinking about? You mentioned
Yeah, medical university.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all we're thinking about right now.
Yeah.
We also give to a cancer hospital in California, City of Hope.
Oh, do you? Is it the 25?
No, it was a lump sum gift. It was, and I don't know anybody there, but a friend of mine asked to give, so we gave $50,000, $10,000 a year for 5 years.
Yeah.
If I have a phone number for that would be helpful too.
If a friend asks you to give, do you normally give?
If I like what it's all about, sure.
Yeah. What if a friend calls on you and it's something that you don't care a thing about?
I'll tell them that.
And that'll be the answer.
That'll be it.
Yeah.
One and done.
Yeah. What would be your counsel? We've got 60 people here. What would be your counsel about making visits, about making contacts, and what do you like to have them bring to you?
I think the first thing is you really have to understand the person you're asking to give. You really know what they're all about, what makes them tick. Giving is very personal, and the other thing is it's difficult. But if you don't really have a clear understanding of the individual, you're not going to make a connection, even if you have a great story.
Yeah.
So I think the first thing is get to know your possible donor.
And Tom, that's more than knowing when you graduated from Adelphi. That's getting to inside the soul and spirit of the person.
Right.
How do you do that?
I think, I know you want them to go out and come back with a pledge the first meeting.
No,
I think
no,
you
no,
got-
no. No.
Okay, I think you got to work it, right? You got to convince them that, number one, there's a cause here. There's something that they should consider giving to.
Yeah.
And then everybody's going to, kind of reach inside and figure out, well, why do they give, or why do they want to give, or should they give? And that's hard. I mean, it's very hard. The first time we thought about really making substantial gifts, we spent a lot of time thinking about it. What do we really want to do and why? So we don't give any money other than $25,000, which goes to the general fund. But if it's a capital campaign thing, we want it allocated to something specific that we think makes a difference. So when we did the Adelphi thing, it was for scholarships. And you had to be either a science major or a nursing major, because I was a science major, my wife was a nurse, and it had to go to scholarships, and you had to have a certain average and a certain SAT score to even apply. And that's what we did.
Yeah.
So we put rules around the giving.
Yeah.
And we think that's important. So we know there are 6 kids at Adelphi today that are on a scholarship because of us.
Do you know the kids?
We have their photographs and their grade point averages, and their major and what they're going to do when they graduate.
And you follow that,
Every year they send me an update.
do they? They're in touch with you?
That's a reason for them to come talk to me.
Yeah. So the kids come.
No,
Let's do
the
Oh, the
advanced-
develop. Yeah. How do you like to be recognized for your gifts?
What do you mean, in a newspaper or something?
No. Do you like to get a letter? Do you like to get a clock, a paperweight? What do you like?
I got a
certificate?
plate once, very
Did you?
nice pewter plate.
And what'd
Yeah.
you do with your pewter
It's
plate?
in my office.
Is it?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, so it did have some meaning.
Well, I got to put my change somewhere, so I throw it in there. We're really not into that part. We don't care about that.
You don't.
No, I mean, the fact was that we didn't expect that we'd get this pewter plate, but we love it. It's very nice. It's useful, but I don't need a coffee mug, and I don't need whatever else recognition. I
But
don't need
Tom,
that.
you got something. You made $1 million gift. Now somebody must have recognized that.
Well, the development office, if you gave us, I assume this is how they do it, if you made a sizable gift, you got this dish. Not just me, everybody who made a sizable gift got one.
Got a dish. Well, how are you recognized for your $25,000 gift?
That's how I got the dish,
Oh,
$25,000.
how are you recognized for the $1 million gift?
We were in the magazine, the college magazine, and in one of the buildings, there's a poster, has my picture and some quote from me.
Is that good?
Yeah, it was okay.
You feel good about that?
No, I don't, indifferent, didn't matter.
Really? It doesn't?
The money's gone.
Ye-
Yeah, no, I don't care about the recognition.
Yeah. Did the president send you a letter?
Yes.
Yeah. Was that special?
No,
What'd you do with the letter?
I threw it out.
Did you? So it doesn't have any meaning for you.
When he thanked me and shook my hand, I appreciated that.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was more personal than a letter.
Yeah. What advice would you give to a group of development people?
I think I'm being repetitious, but have a reason to talk to somebody and have it well thought out. I think that's...
In advance of the meeting?
Yeah, most of the people who are going to make large gifts usually are pretty busy,
Yeah.
and they have lots of other people coming to see them. So your story's got to be better than the other stories they're hearing.
Yeah.
And as I said earlier, you really got to get to know who they are and what makes them tick, et cetera, et cetera. Today the internet's really quite unbelievable, because you can go in there and you can punch in a person's name and see what charities they support, whether they're not-for-profits or whatever they might be. But really get to know them well.
Yeah.
And then you have to sense, are they the ones that if you push them, they kind of go backwards, or they say, okay, I hear you, but you got to put a timeline on it too.
How many people report to you?
Directly,
Yeah.
8.
Do you have any idea about their philanthropy, and do you folks ever talk about it? And do you ever?
Yeah, I know several of them, yeah, and what they do, yeah.
Yeah. And how are they
How are they, in what
in
regard?
terms of philanthropy?
The two that I'm thinking about, I think, are pretty good donors to their alma maters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Tom, this has been great. I'm going to open it up now for some questions from the group.
You didn't tell me that.
Okay, what would you like? Well, first of all, how do you feel about Tom? Okay, you have a question.
I have a question. Would you prefer someone to just make an appointment and come to your office, or do we do a lot of lunches? Does that take up too much time? What would
The question is, do you like somebody making an appointment, or do you prefer lunch? Would you take a lunch for somebody?
I would do a lunch. I prefer a breakfast because they're shorter, and it's before the workday where anything's blowing up. So I prefer a breakfast. I do meet people for a drink after work, so kind of, stay out of the middle of the day when people got other things on their mind.
Yeah. Okay.
And they may need the drink after they talk to you. I don't know.
Yeah. I need stand up and yeah.
I'm old, my hearing's bad, so.
You talked a lot about the personal giving that you and your wife do. Can you tell a little bit about, from a company perspective, how your company goes about?
Oh, that's a great. Sure.
Yeah,
Personal versus, and
I
you
will-
have a foundation.
Yeah, we have a foundation, and we give to a lot of cultural and community type activities, but it's pretty much a fixed amount every year.
Is it
Since-
mostly Chicago?
It has been historically heavy Chicago, but we're moving away from that a little bit. Since we have offices, 45 offices in the US and offices in Europe and Canada. So we're trying to get more into the local communities. So if we had an office in Philadelphia, they could, in fact, be asking us to allocate money for a charity there. We tend to do local charitable giving to support anything our agents may be involved with. So that's probably the best connection. So if an agent is involved with something, we might be supportive of that as opposed to just a blind solicitation. On
Do you
something.
serve on that board?
No.
Okay. Questions? Yeah.
When you maybe give to a capital campaign, it seems like you have your mind made up of kind of a number going into the ask, even when they're coming to ask you. How much does the development officer impact whether you're going to give or not give, or the amount that you're giving?
Good. What impact? Yeah. What impact does the development officer have? At Wake Forest, he's made
Yeah.
3 calls.
I'd say they have high impact. Part of it is kind of the give and take, making sure that you understand that it's really going to something that makes sense, will be successful. So I think giving in general, the advancement or development people have an awful lot to do with it. I would say the president has less to do with it. It's more the development people. It's nice to have the president be involved in the asking as well, but it's the development person who's going to sit there with you for breakfast and then a lunch or whatever and kind of nurture the relationship and keep you advised as to what's going on. The amount, I think that's very personal. And whether my wife and I have a number in our head, that's how we do it. But I don't think if somebody was thinking to give 50 and the development officer said 250, that they're going to get 250. I don't think that's going to happen. And the other side of that, my own opinion, if somebody overreached relative to the quantum of my gift, I might be turned off for giving in general.
And may not give it all.
well, may not give it all, or I may stick to my guns and say this is what
Sure.
I'm going to give.
Sure.
But I would be, personally, if they kind of said, well, you should give 5 million, I'd say, thanks for coming, that's not going to happen.
Yeah. Do you like to have somebody suggest an amount?
No.
Really? Yeah. Yeah.
Now, let me add on that. Whether it's a capital campaign, you have levels of gift, right? So I think that kind of is very helpful if you're a donor to look at that and say, do I want to give 25 or 50? Or, you know, some people will say, well, if I give X, I'll have a naming opportunity, right? Some people like to have naming opportunities. Others could care less. So I think, once again, it's very personal. It's complicated. This is complicated stuff.
Tom, you have a field that carries your name.
Nice to be named after dirt. Yeah, I made my $1 million capital campaign to Adelphi, and they said, well, what do you want named after you? And I said, nothing. I would prefer nothing. And my dad went to school there as well. So they kept hounding me, and they said, well, we'd like to name the field after you, where I was an athlete. Hard to believe, I know, but I played lacrosse for 4 years. So I said, well, I really don't want it named after me. You know, find somebody else. And they said, well, we don't like the fact that we got this big field and we got bleachers and we got everything else, and it has no name. So I said, okay, you can name it after me, but if you get somebody who gives you more than $1 million, I'm willing to give the name up. So someday there will be somebody who will pay more, and I think they should be marketing that right now. Find somebody who will give $2 million and change the name.
Tom, now come on. Aren't you rather pleased that you have something named after you?
Jerry, it's dirt. It's dirt. I don't need to have anything named after
Okay.
me.
In all the presentations that have been given to you, when it gets down to the real nuts and bolts of, this is what we're trying to do, can it become too flashy? Do you prefer PowerPoints, no PowerPoints? I know you talked about having printed material, but can it, how do you think we should communicate the information without coming off as a salesman?
Yeah, let me rephrase that in case you didn't hear it. Tom has already said that he does like paper. What about PowerPoint? What about, is there anything that would be too flashy, too slick?
Yeah, first of all, the two colleges that we support, they have regular magazines that come out. So if there's anything in there on giving, I'll read it. It's always good to see students' pictures, good to see articles about the faculty, new building that went up, whatever it might be. All that stuff, you get a feel, well, they're doing something, right? When it comes to the ask, hopefully I've read that magazine every quarter when it comes out. So now it's kind of, here are 3 or 4 pages, the highlights of what we're trying to do from a advancement or development perspective. So kind of narrowing it down, getting it focused. So whether that's the level of giving, or you can give your money towards scholarships or faculty, you know, a tenured faculty chair, that kind of thing. So I think, you know, kind of distill it, start with lots of information and kind of get more narrow, and then that becomes easier to get to the point of making a
If
decision.
he brought a video, would you feel good about that?
It's interesting you mention that. When Adelphi was beginning their capital campaign, I guess I paid for a video to be produced,
Aha.
which was 4 minutes and 30 seconds. And
How much did you give?
well, I had some help. I couldn't do it myself, you know. But it cost me personally about $15,000.
Yeah.
And the university mailed the disc out to every address they had, whether it was existing student, alum, whoever, friend of the university. And that was kind of the beginning of the capital campaign. But it was all interviews on people, why do they give? And I think the administration, whether it be development or the president, thought that was a great way to kick it off because it was personal and it only took 4.5 minutes. I don't even know if they have DVDs anymore. But,
Was it a good way to kick it off?
I thought so. It was my idea.
Oh, and so they asked you to pay for it.
Yeah, they asked me, they said,
Yeah.
your idea, you pay. I
Yeah.
said, okay, I'll do that.
So you must have been on it then. You must
I
have
I was one of a bunch of people.
Yeah. And what reason did you give? Because you said all the people talked about why they were giving. What'd you say?
I said I didn't say 5 years. I said my university experience taught me a lot about leadership, emotional intelligence, and how to work with people. And I thought you can't get that in a lot of places. But my 4 years, I picked up a lot on that. And I said I was an athlete. I was captain of the team twice. So a lot about leadership and hard work and perseverance and disappointment, all those things. And if I didn't go to Adelphi, I may not have ever gotten any of those experiences. So
Did you meet your wife there?
no.
Okay.
I met her in a bar in the Hamptons.
Would you like to talk about that? No.
My name is Shannon. I'm with the University of Dubuque. We offer an undergrad and a master's degree, and I couldn't help but notice in your bio that you have a second degree or a law degree from, I believe it was Widener University in Delaware Law School. Have they approached you for a gift, or have you chose to?
Probably every month they send me something.
Let me just rephrase that so you can hear it. The question was a great one. Tom received his law degree from Widener, and his giving is to where he got his undergraduate. Has the law school been to him for a gift? And you said,
They mail me things probably every month, and I throw them in the trash.
but nobody has called on you.
No one's called me.
Now, if somebody called, would you see them
I would see them, and I would tell them no.
without even hearing?
Yeah.
Because,
I didn't feel that I got out of anything out of law school that made me feel fondly for that place.
really, yeah, okay.
Thank you. Same thing for your wife's alma mater?
What's that?
Did you give to your wife's alma mater?
No, it's a public institution in New York City, and we made a decision only private.
Yeah.
You mentioned that you often have a figure in mind when you're talking about when somebody overreaches that figure. What if somebody lowballs it? What's your reaction?
Yeah.
If you want to give, you'll give more.
The question, in case you didn't get it, was what if they ask for 20? What if they ask for 10 and Tom is thinking 25? You would say,
I would give the 25. I'd give the 25. I mean, if I made that decision, I just want to see what they're going to say. But if they told me if I was going to give 25 and they were thinking $1 million, then I'd know they're just running around asking for money.
yeah, okay,
There's got to be a sense of reality to it. Yeah.
yeah.
I'm wondering, when someone comes to see you, if that person, if that development person has made, somehow there's a connection, that you've made a connection with that person's made a connection with you, does that, will that help compensate for other shortcomings? Are you likely to perhaps give that person another chance? Just wondering what you think about that role, the role of the relationship that's established or not with that person.
Yeah, did you all get that? And the question is, what does it take on the part of a development director? And if there's a relationship, does that make a difference to you? Or is it the institution?
I meet a lot of people who I like. Love to talk to them, et cetera. It doesn't mean I give them money. So I really have to believe in the story. The story has to be, to me, a compelling story. There are situations, in the case of Adelphi, I kind of contrast them. Adelphi had less of a need to give me a compelling story than Wake Forest does. Because I went there, I got a lot out of it. Only thing I did was send a daughter and money to Wake Forest, right? And season tickets for football. Bad mistake. So I would say the Wake Forest story is very important to me, what they're doing and how they're doing it. And I have an example. I have a daughter who graduated there, went on, got her master's, 2 master's degrees. I have a son-in-law who went there. I've met all their friends. They're all great kids. I guess they're young adults, no longer kids. And they all got great jobs. So the story to me is they do a good job there. And the personality could be less if the story's more. But that's me. Some people say, well, I really like that person and whatever, but to me it's the story has to be compelling.
First off, I want to say thank you. I think it's a rare privilege to have a beacon in the brain of a major donor, so thank you. 2 quick questions. I'm being greedy. Number 1, I'd love to know what was the most meaningful gift that you've ever made or philanthropic investment, and I'm also curious to know what quote you have under your photograph in the building at Adelphia.
You can probably go online and it'll have the quote. I think so far the Adelphi gift has been meaningful. I told Jerry, I may have said it to you, we have 6 or 7 kids that are on scholarship because of us. Adelphi is a school that has a lot of first-generation college students, many of whom come from New York City. And many of them are, they don't have the money to go. They scrap to go there. So to see a kid not have to worry about that to me is a pretty big reward.
To hitchhike on that, has there been any gift that's been disappointing?
No, not really.
Not really. Yeah.
How important is financial transparency of the organization that's asking you for money in your decision to make a donation?
How important is financial transparency?
In what regard?
So do you do research about the organizational health, the governance practices, the financial
Do you dig very deep?
of the
Yeah, well, I'm on the board of Adelphi, so I gave him $50,000 to start, and I said, prove it to me. So I knew what I was supporting.
but for those that you're not as involved?
Well, Wake Forest, we were on the Parents' Council, and we got to know the administration, and obviously our daughter reported to us periodically on some things that were happening at Wake Forest. So we had a pretty good sense there, and actually I have spoke to the president about a year ago. I needed a recommendation on something, and Dr. Hatch was able to give it to me, so I called him up, we had a conversation. So I try to make sure I understand who I'm giving the money to. Whatever it might be, like if we give money to the church, I know what's going on in the church. So
You were on the Parents' Council. Did you call on anybody for a gift?
yeah, every year I had to call 25 families.
What was it like?
It's hard.
Is it harder than selling insurance?
Well, you're not in person, right? You're over the phone. You get one of these. You hear the story. Well, I got 2 kids in Wake Forest, and that's costing me $100,000 a year. We're living in the back of the car and eating porridge every day. And, so you run into some.
But you
tough
made your
stuff.
calls.
Made the calls.
Yeah.
Hard
Yeah.
to do.
You know-
But I think, I tell this to people in our business. If you know the customer and you've met with them face to face, it's hard for them to fire you. And I think that goes a long way in the advancement development world. If you're face to face with the donor and you get to know them, there's a pretty good chance you can do that. But you know what the numbers are, right? If you send out 100 letters, 2 people call you back. I was in the life insurance business. You send out 500 letters on Monday night, offering people a free map. Really quite an enticement to meet with me. And you'd get 5 people who would call you and say, yeah, I'll meet with you. And Of the 5, 3 wanted the map, right? 2 wanted to talk about insurance. So, but I think if you're face to face with a prospective donor, you've got a chance, right? I mean, that's the mathematics of it, right? You got to be in front of them. You got to have a compelling story. In life insurance, I used to say, well, you know, if you die, your spouse will be living in a refrigerator box next to the railroad tracks. That usually gets their attention. And then you say, how much can you spend a month? That's when it gets sour, right? It doesn't work so well. So
You said you served on a number of boards. What boards do you serve on?
I serve on a public company, Verisk Analytics. It's a predictive data company, if you will. Serve on that. Delphi board, I was on 1 or 2 other boards I'm no longer on.
Yeah. I'm going to close this. It was said how special it was having you here. I would add to that, you had one of the major corporations in the country, and to have you take time to join us is of such value to us. Tom, thank you so much. It's
Thanks,
been
Jerry.
great.